This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
Well, hello, welcome to What's Bruin. I am your host, Jake Berryfield, and I'm back on the show after a brief battle with
You were on assignment.
healthcare. Yeah, I got 2 IV bags. I thought I was dying. Turns out I was dehydrated. But I'm back. And thanks, Mike, for covering the show last week. Yeah, it was unexpected, but...
I get a call. I'm
so
already
far,
in the
happy
valley,
ending.
and I'm like, hey, bud,
Mike.
might have to change things
It might be
around
curtains for
tonight.
Jake, Mike. I got to cancel.
He said that once. I was like, wait, are you going to die on me?
Yeah.
Is this going to be the last What's Brewing? But no, it is not.
Yeah, thankfully, yeah. So, yay! And the ironic thing is, I literally had the best physical of my life, but then I also thought I was...
Did you just get sick? Oh, you're dehydrated.
And then I thought I was suffering kidney failure all at the same time.
Yay!
So the doctor literally said, "You're amazing." And then I said, "Oh yeah, but what about the kidney failure?" And he's like, "Oh, well, we'll do some more tests."
Well, aside from that,
Turned out just fine. A couple IV bags, flushed it all out, and I'm all good. So anyways, welcome to What's Bruin Show. And thank you for your support. whatsbruinshow@gmail.com, whatsbruins.substack.com, patreon.com/whatsbruinshow, or whatsbruinshow.com. Come around full circle on the Twitter and whatever X at What's Bruin Show. You can also, my locker site down below, YouTube, search What's Bruin Show, look for the Bruin stuff, the UCLA stuff, not the stupid Boston stuff. And you can also call the hotline, 805-399-4WBS. Sucker and Troy. I was at their house today and playing with their awesome new puppy Badger and their awesome older dog, Jesse. And it was fun. Puppies are fun, but it was cool. And those guys are doing all right as well. But anywho, Mikey, it's we're in the middle of spring football.
Yep.
And a lot of the other spring sports have ended. I know you're still a little sad about women's basketball, although you're happy of what they accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why is London Jones leaving?
Who knows? It's NIL. It's the era of the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I'll get into it in a little bit. I will speculate about what might happen, but I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, my good friend Jason Rebell wanted to know what the F is up with London Jones. So you're going to answer his question, I'm
We'll
sure.
get into that, yes.
All right, good. So we'll get at it in a minute, I guess. Mike's not ready to talk about that right now. No. I just asked him the question directly. He's being evasive with me, but whatever. There's more time for that later. But anywho, that is, by the way, Mike from Bruin Report Online.
What's up? Bro.
And also my co-host of many, many years.
Iron Mike.
What's up, yo?
And so we're going to talk a little bit about spring football. We're going to talk about whether or not UCLA is going to engage in another dose of starfuckery.
Interesting.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I honestly, right now, as I'm saying these words, I'm not sure if I want to see it or not. I'm really on the fence on this one. So we'll try to talk through that. And we'll talk Mike's thoughts about some spring practice. He saw some stuff that he's allowed to actually talk about, which is cool. And then we'll do a What's Bruin, and then we'll get out of here. Also, Jamaal and I and Mike possibly are going to be doing a West Coast bias, which is going to talk about the Lakers and the NBA playoffs.
Well, you're just all about the West Coast bias. You don't like the East Coast.
And we're going to talk about how we're glad the Lakers end up on their side of the bracket, and why we're glad that the Clippers and the Nuggets are on their side of the bracket. Hopefully they'll take each other out, along with the Thunder, whatever.
And why the Kings have absolutely thumped the Oilers, although they have to meet them in the first round of the NHL playoffs again. God.
I think we're going to talk about that. Oh, Jamaal and Mike are going to talk hockey as well on West Coast Bias. I can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome. But yeah.
Screw you, buddy.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, Terrence. Anywho, so with that being said, let's get on to the Brofield headlines with Mike Regalado, where he's going to tell me why. Why, Mike? Why is she transferring? Wait, because we don't have enough for a whole segment of women's basketball anymore, right?
Oh, I do.
The women's. Jesus Christ, Mike.
I would like
We're
to avoid
fully
the
into this
basketball
territory
shows for
again.
As long as
Yep.
possible.
Like the basketball seasons are done. Okay, the college basketball seasons are done. So now for another 8 months.
I would like to avoid the basketball shows for.
And you're telling me you have a whole segment on women's basketball? How is this fucking possible?
You clearly have not been paying attention the last week, Jake.
I would like to avoid the basketball.
I almost died last week, and I was like, well, the silver lining about this is that Mike's going to cover all the women's basketball talk.
Oh, it's ongoing too.
Okay,
It's not
damn it.
over. This is just the
Son of a
first
bitch.
steps.
Okay, well,
The
anyways.
first weeks of the transfer.
I don't mean
portal.
to be glib about our Final Four team. So, anyways, fine. It's the What's Bruin headlines, and it's also women's basketball talk.
Women's.
We do it all for Nancy and Carrie.
And for the love of money.
Here we go.
Sorry,
Mike.
I had Bone Thugs and Harmony on
That's okay.
on a playlist. Forgot I had them on there, and that slapped
That'll happen sometimes.
coming down the 118.
Yeah, and Bill's not here to harmonize with you, so I apologize for that.
And he'll be like, for the love of money.
Oh yeah, he certainly would.
He'd get into it.
Anywho, well, here.
You got the touch. Yeah. You got the power. Well, last week I went over it. Very shocking. Just a quick recap. All four of UCLA's freshmen from last year are in the transfer portal. Two of them are gone. The freshmen are Alina Aronsalo, which is a big surprise, Kendall Dudley, Avery Kane, and Zania Saka-Newman. Dudley is signing with Michigan already. She signed or committed over the weekend, I believe.
Was the rumor
And-
that she was dating an Amara true?
They're
They're getting married and they're moving to Michigan together.
Probably
to live in
not.
a little cottage
Probably not, but
with really high, door beams.
and harsh winters.
That's not true.
No.
Okay,
No.
never mind.
No.
We're not breaking that news. Okay,
I mean, Dudley might be used to that because she's from DC, but
I'm just saying.
Mara's from Spain.
they're literally they got married in Vegas and now they're moving to Michigan to start a new life, playing for Go Big Blue.
I cannot confirm that with sources.
Okay, good. All right.
So-
That was the word on the street for me.
Yeah,
I guess we'll have to squash it right now.
And then today it came out that Alina Aronsalo is heading to North Carolina.
Ooh.
So there's that. Yeah,
Rise up.
that was a huge surprise. Although I kind of get it because UCLA is basically going to have two starting point guards next season
Mhm.
with Rice and Leisure Walker. So it didn't seem like Aronsalo would have had a lot of time next season. Though, I'm just wondering if obviously these players want to play now,
Right.
But it seems like none of them looked towards the future because after next season, UCLA gets rid of 7 players.
Yeah.
7 players lose eligibility.
Patience is a virtue,
Yeah. But you
but
know,
also,
but
you kind of got to strike while the iron's hot.
Exactly. And if
Both
they
those
if
things
they
are
could get a and Aronsalo, I think does earn a starting spot, but when you're on this deep of a roster, your minutes are gonna get cut a little bit.
Okay, so all the whole freshman class left. So where does that leave the Bruins now?
So as of now, I did this last week, but let's quickly go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Quickly.
7. All 7 players who lose eligibility after next season. No, that is not correct. I'm sorry. 6 players lose eligibility because Amanda Muse redshirted this year, but she hasn't
She's
entered the
very
portal. She's still
inspirational.
returning. Until they have said I'm in the portal, we're counting them as returning, and that's Betts, Rice, Hawkes, Dugalich, and that was I'll get into that in a second. Gardner, Leisure Walker, and Muse. So Dugalich, that was funny. She did have an extra year of eligibility. I thought she had spent it all up, but she tweeted yesterday on Monday that I didn't know I had to make this announcement, but hey, it's official. I'm coming back.
Nice.
Which she does, and there was this one guy who said she wasn't coming back, and he owes me like $100. But
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to hold it to him because he has a letter for a Twitter account picture thing. So yeah, they're not. Just gonna,
Let's
just
not
gonna
waste
eat
our
that
time.
one. Yeah. So
not waste our time.
so those are the ones that are in. As far as incoming, you have Sienna Betts, Lauren's sister, who was the number 2 player in high school last season.
Now we find
And then you have Bilic, who was the top European player. And hopefully she can bring in some much needed shooting, which was good for UCLA throughout the season, but it wasn't great. It wasn't where it needed to be and kind of bit them in the rear occasionally. But one of the rumors, one of the stories going around the rumor mill is that UCLA will be hosting Utah guard, I believe she's a guard, Gianna Neepkins, who was their leading scorer with 19.3 points last season. She had, if my computer would be cool, 5 rebounds per game, 94 assists. That looks like it's second on the team. So just a baller. And her thing is that she is 44.8%. 44.8% from the 3-point line. So if she can add some consistent 3-point shooting, that's going to go a long way for UCLA. But after losing 6 players to the portal, they need to get 5 more. And right now, news is slower out of women's basketball as they're we're all evolving and catching up to what men's sports and behind the scenes and sources are doing. So right now, she's Neepkins, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is the only one that has been. It's heard that she's going to have an official visit with UCLA, and sources are UCLA's in a very good position to land her. So that's a huge thing. So
they lose 6. They bring in her. They got Bet's sister coming in. I mean, they don't have to fill all these spots because some of these will be incoming freshmen, right?
The only 2 freshmen are Betts and Bilic.
Okay,
so they only have 2.
So that leaves like 3 spots-ish that they got to fill.
Yeah.
Which they should be able to do. And so big picture-wise, you're still pretty bullish on how the Bruins look for next year, 2026.
Yeah.
2027 is going to be, have to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
But who the hell cares? We still have to deal with 2026.
Yeah.
And you're pretty happy about that.
There's going to be a lot of work that has to be done this year and next year for recruiting to make sure that there's some kind of sustainability. Because think about this. USC is not going to be where they were this year, next year, because Watkins probably will miss the season. Raya Marshall and Kiki Iriafen both got drafted in the WNBA draft last night, so they lose their 2 bigs. So they're definitely going to lose a lot of talent. They even lost 3 freshmen to the portal. So she has a bigger job, but I think she could sell the fact that Juju Watkins will be back in the 26-27 season. Yeah. So I'm sure she can get some quality freshmen as well as transfers in the next year or 2. Like next year, I could imagine. I would just be like, let's just get as good as maintain. Let's see where we're at.
Keep our buzz going.
Yeah. But so that'll be weird. If UCLA does not keep up, then USC is definitely going to have an advantage the season after next. So,
well, that's fine. I mean, if UCLA makes some more hay this season, then we're all good. Mike, you have anything else to say about women's basketball?
No, that was about it. Those were the big moves recently. So
thank God. Yeah. Okay, men's basketball, Mike. This is your chance. This is headlines. Anything?
Just really,
Mike, please. I'm sorry.
Just really quickly. No, because there isn't. I actually said this on my 2-minute drill earlier today, Jake.
Yes.
That there hasn't really been much news this last week. As I went into last week, UCLA got Donovan Dent, Jamar Brown, and Javier Booker. The one thing I will say is that
just a baller, man.
One of the rankings that came out the day before those signings were announced, UCLA wasn't even in the top 25 of top transfer classes. Now, they are clearly, solidly in the top 10 of transfer classes. Right now, who is this? Is this SI I'm looking at? UCLA is 5th in transfer recruiting with those 3 guys. And I still think... I think the quality of player is a little bit better than what came in last year, but they definitely need a few more guys. But it definitely hurts to lose Kobe Johnson as well as Adai Mara,
who is engaged and expecting quadruplets with what's that woman's basketball?
Kendall Dudley.
That's what I heard.
She's a modern woman, Jake.
It's unconfirmed.
She's focusing on her career.
We don't know. Well, he's going to.
She don't need no man.
He's going to stay home with the kids. Obviously, he's going to work on his post ups. He's going to work on his rebounding skills, and he's going to freaking change diapers.
He's going to work on his footwork by dodging kids on the floor.
Absolutely. You got to do it. He's got a lot. He's going to take the stroller out, go up the hills, build his thigh muscles, calves. Yes.
Well, that'd be cool.
Unconfirmed, but this is what.
Yeah, but that's going to be an interesting game.
Little birdie told me.
I think Michigan is at Pauley Pavilion. No, wait. No, I think. Are they? They were at Poly Pavilion this year, so I would imagine that they're at Ann Arbor next year.
Sure.
And with the tree, I don't know who their 7-footers, what classes they are in. But man, can you imagine having a team with 3 7-footers?
That sounds pretty daunting.
Frickin' hell, man.
It's a hell of a zone.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just what's going on now. Yeah, it's been crickets recently, but yeah, we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the summer, because I think UCLA still needs about 3 players to replace everyone that has left. Sebastian Mack, he's already off to Missouri. Dylan Andrews, he's up at Boise State. And Adai Mara is at Michigan. So
engaged.
Engaged.
Allegedly.
Sources say.
Anyways.
So that's the really quick men's basketball talk.
Oh, thank God.
If you will.
Is it over?
So
thank God.
It's over.
Thank God.
Jesus.
Thank God.
Get to the chopper, bro. Blue 32. Blue 32. Hey!
Football. I'm not, you know what? And it's spring camp. I'm not even really that excited, but like relative to, I'm so much more excited about this. But should I be excited, Mike? Is there something like last year, the Bruins go into the year?
Hey, you know what?
And they averaged, -7 points per game because of that giant crap offense they rolled out there with old, brother Fredo Bieniemy. And it was just DOA, absolutely terrible. And now they have this hot, new, young, unproven offensive coordinator.
Did you see his video?
Let's say I did. And let's say I was very inspired by it.
Very inspiring.
At the very
Dear
least,
Lord, yes.
I heard that lots of people were very inspired by it.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially
and I know I'm very excited.
one Mr. The Godfather.
Santino
Yeah.
is kicking the shit out of Fredo, as far as we can tell.
And he's proud
Making him look
Sicilian,
bad.
not Italian. Hey, do you mind?
Sorry.
Racist.
Winston's in here. I don't think he was commenting on his Italian heritage. That's okay. Maybe he was. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about the dog.
This dog hates Italians. Big jerk.
Anywho, Mike.
Yes.
How much of the spring practice have you seen?
I've been to 3 practices,
Wow,
and it's very bizarre because I've been to one, which was an open practice. The other 2 were just quick, the practices we get to see during the season, which are about 15, 20 minutes long.
Sure.
Although this one was slightly longer, but the guys were in a helmet, shirts, and shorts. No shells, no nothing. So from the get-go, I could tell that Monday's practice was going to be very light. And sure enough, we saw nothing but drills, skeletons, walkthroughs.
It's a great yeah song.
It was generally like the plainest practice we could have covered, but just from what I've seen with the offense, it's pretty interesting because they seem to have 4 receivers on the field. They basically seem to be in 11 personnel most of the time. They have a lot of 2 wide, tight end attached. Sometimes the tight end's in the slot when they're doing bunch. They do a lot of bunch, both attached and separate.
Or they're just practicing like 3 particular plays over and over and over and over again. But yeah.
Yeah, and especially with it only being the first 2 weeks of actually putting this stuff to the test with your new offensive coordinator, we're not going to see that much. I'm sure that we're going to see a lot more by the time the Rose Bowl comes around. But even then, Deshaun Foster said the only reason they don't have as many open practices as last year is because they want to kind of keep the offense a secret, which, yeah, the reporters and fans might grumble a bit, but that's actually a pretty freaking good strategy. So hopefully it turns out to be something good to where we see UCLA.
It can't possibly be worse.
There you go.
There's a 0% chance it could be worse.
Yeah. Who was it? I think it was Burl Toller who was asked what kind of offense they were doing. How was he meshing with Sinceri and what kind of offense they were doing? And he said explosive. I'm like, interesting. You're the first one to say that. But yeah, guys have said, they're going to do various formations, but as far as what the identity of the offense is right now, it's yet to be seen, but they definitely want to try to air the ball out a bit.
Yeah. And I think we can all assume that it's going to be something a little more, conventional to college football. I think, if you think about what Indiana did last year, that's kind of what it was. And obviously they had a lot of guys that came from James Madison. They had a lot of guys that were already there, and they turned out a pretty nice product for most of the year. And just having a professional, level of coaching at the offensive coordinator spot this year is going to, I think, obviously reap dividends for the Bruins. But what I don't think we really need to do right now is sit here and go through all the players that are new, because there's so many new players that have come in, both on offense and on defense. Like, we could sit here and go through a roll call and say, oh yeah, that guy weighs this much and he's this tall, and this guy is this tall. Anthony Frias, 5'10", 212. Oh, I wonder how he's going to do against Jalen Berger, who happens to be, whatever. How big is Jalen Berger? I just missed his name.
Was he like?
He's 6'1", 215.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how they're going to do. Oh, gee whiz. Like, you really don't know anything from watching a couple fucking drills at a practice. But you, Mike, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions after I get through this point. But we're not going to sit here and go through a roll call of what the players are, because number one, half these guys we've never seen play in real life before, IRL. Yeah. And the other half, we already saw them on the field last year. No cap. And like, we already have our opinions of them. And like, Mike, overall, just looking at the athletes doing the drills that you saw on the field this year relative to other years that you've gone to spring practice, which has been many years in a row now. Yeah. Over a decade, right? Pretty much.
6 years.
Okay.
Although no, you're right. The more years when they had it open, I was doing that early Bruin Report. Okay, yeah. All right. I'm counting it.
Gojo Bruin.
Counting it.
Come on, those days too. What I'm saying is, if you look at what you saw, talent on the field, relative to other years, would you say it's glaringly weak? About right? Oh my gosh, it's overwhelmingly good? Like, where would you land that?
It kind of feels like when you have a new, like when you're at a job and you have a boss that just made everything horrible and just things were complicated, and now he's moved on, and you have this new boss who is just more, this boss who's just more in line to not implementing, just shoving his offense in your face, especially one that is hard to conceive.
That is broken.
But going, hey, I want to see what I have in this department, and we're going to use those strengths and go forward that way. There seems to be an air of kind of relief. It's like the last year at certain points, talking to the players, it seems like they were just kind of robotic in their answers, and kind of seemed like they were going through another set of, doing school, a second school.
Which kind of was. They had to learn a whole new language.
Yeah, exactly. But now it just seems like they're kind of having fun. They're working with it, especially the coaches too. A lot of the players are really talking about how each individual position coach is really enthusiastic, really talkative, communicative, and just really trying to get their point across, but not saying, not getting in their face. There seems to be an air of, hey, let's work together.
And obviously that's in relation
less urgency.
That's in relation to the offense, and I want to come around to that, back around to that in a minute. But for example, Mike, they lost huge playmakers on defense this year, and they're going to have to replace a lot on the defensive line and in the linebacking core. They lost their starting running backs from last year. Actually, tasty Jalen Berger. What's
happened to TJ Harden? He hasn't committed anywhere. I wonder if he can come back.
Maybe he'll be back, because I would love to not have to retire this.
Hells yeah. Come on, TJ.
We have new quarterbacks there, right? And the wide receivers are probably the most consistent group from carryover from last year. So what I'm saying is, Mike, just answer that question. I'm going to pose a question again. Overall athleticism, or like, oh my gosh, that guy looks like he could be type of a game breaker. I don't really need to know which guy is. But I'm saying overall, are you looking at this team, and are you looking at a team that looks like it had a talent dump? Or are you looking at a team that looks like it's about where it needs to be in a spring practice? Or are you looking at a team that looks like it's loaded? Like
the second one, definitely. There aren't guys.
It's not alarming, but it's not also overly enthusiastic.
Oh my God,
I'll take that.
Those first 2-3 years of the Chip Kelly era, when he was just having walk-ons and just really replacing guys with whoever he could find, that was rough. Like, looking at that, it's like there's no explosive plays, there's no excitement. Here, there's some excitement. There are guys making some plays, but there's no true standout. Here or there in that position. Guys are kind of coming along, but for the most part, there's talent. It's definitely going to be position groups by committee. But it's not horrible. it's not boring, but it's not like overly exciting. Like, oh my God, we're going to challenge Alabama and Michigan and Ohio State. No, it's nowhere near that.
But you say that they are
Yeah,
have an
they'll be
explosive
competitive.
You say that they have an explosive offense, but to have an explosive offense, you need some explosive players. So you're saying,
Yeah.
like I said, we don't really need to get into specific players, but like, for example, like a Quasi Gilmore still looks like he can make some big plays out there. Or guys like they have enough guys running around the field, or like,
yeah,
and guys relative to Quasi on the field when they're doing drills and stuff, you're like, oh, they have guys out there that look like they are big and strong and fast and can run
Yeah.
at different positions, even if we don't know how it's going to play out. That's what I'd be worried about most about spring practice. If you walk in there and it looks like everybody's slow and fat or skinny or, short or whatever, I'd be really, really worried
Yeah.
about
No,
Deshaun
it doesn't
Foster
look like
year
that,
2.
no.
And you're saying that they look like a college football team that is, building and developing going into the spring, although they have major changes to make on their offense.
Mhm.
And it looks like it couldn't be worse than it was. And then defensively, you saw the guys running around the secondary a little bit.
yeah.
Those guys, like, it looks like they have some athletes.
The secondary looks a lot better than I expected. Those guys are kind of like just running around.
And those are all the guys, Martin Bredin.
Yeah, getting in front of the ball. Linebackers and defensive line, that's obviously where a lot of the talent was drained from. But the guys are holding up, so that's good so far. But nobody that's really stood out. I did want to talk about this really quickly. Personnel. Rico Flores looks good. I can imagine if he's not back by the end of spring, he should definitely be ready by August, fall camp.
I do have a Rico drop somewhere, but I don't know where it went.
Yeah.
So we're not going to play.
Hudson Habermill has had a wrap on his leg the entire spring, first 2 weeks. But at one point I looked over and I don't know what this drill is called, if it's a specific drill, but there are boxes that were stacked about 3 feet high. And from a standing position, you jump up and try to land on it. He stuck the landing and looked fine. So his ACL injury, which happened a year and a day ago, seems to be, the recovery process seems to be really good for him. So Jerry Neuheisel says he should most likely be back by fall camp. So that is huge too. So to have the a top. Oh, there it is.
There we go.
Nice.
I do have it.
And who else did I say? Gary Smith, a guy who has just been injured like the last 2-3 seasons, I want to say. I saw him in, they were just doing drills where there's a hoop on the ground and you have to kind of run around it, put your hand in the hoop and then go and scoop up a football. Excuse me, what the hell was that? He looked really agile. He looked really good and he was planting his feet and his legs and he looked like he did not have any
Well, that's the
trouble.
type of guy
So,
that's going to make or break that defense.
Yeah,
if they have a
dude,
big guy
I
like
would
Gary
l-
Smith and they're making plays,
yeah.
they can be some sort of facsimile of Jay Toya from last year.
Mhm.
Not as good, but anywhere near.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you have something to work with. You need a couple big bodies in the line. I'm pretty sure that's part of the plan. So
Yeah.
that would be huge. All right. So,
Yeah.
so. I have one other thing to say about this. I
Mhm.
want to move on. Mike, you mentioned something about an anecdote or a player anecdotally noting that them learning the new Sonny playbook
Mhm.
is a little bit easier than what they deal with last year.
Yeah.
Who said that or why or what? Tell me what that is.
I think it was, I think it was not Hudson Habermill, Jack Peterson, tight end.
Okay.
When we talked to him on Monday, I asked him about the complexity and what the transition is like under Sinceri, and he said, it's good. A lot of it is, and this is obviously coach speak too, what they're told to say in
Mhm.
interviews, but this is simpler. The wordage is going to be different, but Tracy McDonald from Rivals, he asked specifically, those plays seem to be a sentence long. Now is it like only 3-4 words? And he kind of chuckled, is like, it's different, but it's a little bit, it's not as complex. So
You don't say.
yeah, right.
Wow. Like we had to learn the same thing again over from the freaking Kenny Palomalu era,
Yeah.
that disaster, and then the same fucking thing with Eric Bieniemy for cousin Fredo,
Mm-hmm.
brother Fredo. It's like, oh my God. So, I mean, just right there, just from the organization of the offense and getting them on and off the field and actually running fucking plays.
Yeah.
They're going to be better next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's going to go from like averaging 16 points a game to 20 points a game or 16 points a game to 25 or whatever, but they are going to be a better offense next year just from the fact that they've gotten rid of the giant freaking, horrible albatross of
Yeah.
Eric Bieniemy from their coaching staff. and God bless him and good luck, but Jesus God, that was the death knell for the football team last year and kept them from making a splash in the Big Ten.
Yeah, exactly.
Which leads to the next topic.
Okay.
Because right now, Mike,
right
now UCLA football, like, we care about it. I care deeply about it.
I care.
But Mike, how would you characterize, you talk about, college football across the country, Big 10, SEC, Big 12, Power 4, whatever, ACC. The Big 10's a big effing conference.
Yeah.
A lot of teams. If you had to characterize UCLA in like the level of buzz UCLA has this offseason and heading into next season, is it even on the buzz meter at all? Is it completely flatlined? What do you think? Because in my opinion, it's completely effing flatlined. Nobody gives a flying crap about UCLA football right now other than us schmucks who care about UCLA football.
Yeah.
But nationally, what is the storyline that is popping for them, which we'll get to in a minute? There is one. But what's the others, other than the obvious thing we're about to talk about? Have there been any storylines that have popped at all for UCLA football relative to the big picture in college football? Not that that's important, but
the only thing that comes to mind is Tino Sinceri's hair is immaculate.
and they made the hire, and that was good.
He looks like a Sicilian Morrissey.
Right. But heading into next year, he does. Yeah, he's awesome.
But as far as actual buzz, like, do people care about UCLA football? No.
Nationally, do you think that
No.
UCLA football will be picked to come in any better than bottom fourth of the Big Ten next year, like by pretty much everyone?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty much what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they had the opportunity to make a splash, and then they failed pretty much because of that horrible offense, and they ended up 5-7 and missing a bowl game and missing the opportunity to like stamp this as a even a mediocre entrance in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And next year, based on what their schedule is and how they performed and the way they hired Deshaun Foster, and not that we're, I'm done with this whole storyline, but it's still there. The way that he performed at Media Day, and then the way they started the season, and then the way that the offense performed at under 20 points a game for an entire season, God help us. The transfer of Dante Moore, all these things, that was a bigger storyline. The firing of Chip Kelly, which is a bigger thing. They're completely, they got no juice right now.
No. And that's
now they can make their own juice.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm hoping. But this week, I'm sorry, did you have anything to say about not having any juice?
Well, I was just going to briefly say, like, one thing that has been something that I'm like, UCLA needs to get up on this is their promotion, selling the programs, selling the athletic department. And it is, even though it's I'm not getting into a political discussion, but even though UCLA is more of a liberal school, the athletic department has a very conservative take on how they present themselves, which is fine.
Make UCLA great again.
Yeah. Oh my God. I threw up. Oh my God. How dare you? But they have to put themselves out there. Like, look what Oregon does with their promotions with puddles. They had a freaking rubber ducky on the Indianapolis, whatever that river is in Indianapolis, for Big Ten Media Day. That's how you sell yourself.
You can do that stuff when you have a top 5 team every year.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You can't put the cart before the horse, right?
That's very true.
That's the problem.
But even when UCLA was good, when UCLA was doing their Final Four run,
when was UCLA good?
UCLA men's basketball.
Okay.
Final Four.
Yeah.
Just the same amount of media coverage. Media promotion. I'll get away from my beer. Thank you. That's mine. When the women's team went to the Final Four, it was basically the same. Amped up for the Final Four.
They could do a better job of capitalizing on their success.
Yeah, like for example, all year we've been seeing Juju Watkins in these State Farm commercials. Finally, Lauren Betts is in a national commercial during the Final Four. Why isn't that earlier in the season? This is stuff that UCLA kind of needs to shake off this whole, we're UCLA, we need to present ourselves in a certain way, ha ha ha, and have a little attitude. Their teams are going to get better, and you know how you get eyeballs on your program?
By winning.
Yes, that's one. But being out there too, like what is that stupid minor league baseball team that dances before every pitch. I don't even know if they're good or not, but the fact that they're getting national attention because they're doing stupid little dances before every pitch. Like that's how you get the butts in the seats. When the Kings were just dreadful before their first Stanley Cup, I remember they would have day of ticket sales. You get to the box office by 10 a.m. and you get a $5 ticket for the 300 row. And how did they keep you in there? Because their in-game presentation was fantastic. Lights, sounds, games. Hey, we're going to engage. We suck, but we love that you're here. And even their social media presence right around the time of their first Stanley Cup championship was just hilarious. You hadn't seen that in sports. Oh, damn you dogs. You hadn't seen that in sports media. That it's UCLA has to do something to just get more, here's one thing that I do like. Have you heard of Cholo Creeper?
No, Mike.
Cholo Fit? And well, the logarithm knows. It knows I'm Mexican American and I love comedy acts. So
okay.
There's this one guy he does this thing. I'm not going to get into it. You should be there. Called Cholo Fit. So he's basically a cholo doing kind of exercises and using cholo poses to and then when you stand up, really strain the back, and it's
very nice.
Freaking hilarious. He's going to be emceeing the Friday Night Lights. And UCLA has put out a poster with him being all cholo and, posing with UCLA in the background. But I'm like, this is awesome. This is a good direction. Now, I think that they should do videos about it, prep it, just sell it somehow. So I was like, you know what? This is one good way to say, hey, we're not going to take ourselves too seriously.
That's fine, and I'm in favor of all that, and that's good. But that's more geared towards the fans that you already have, right? Talking about a Friday Night Lights thing or whatever like that. And really, I'm just talking more just from the perspective of where does UCLA land nationally as far as the buzz they generate across the country. It's absolutely at a low point right now, which is hard to imagine considering the low points they've had over the last 2 decades. The great few years of Mora, notwithstanding the sort of mediocre peak of Kelly notwithstanding. It is that nobody is UCLA football is completely irrelevant nationally right now. However, they do have an opportunity right now, and that opportunity was created when Nico Iamaleava. Yeah. Iamaleava decided to leave Tennessee
because of NIL.
After a lot of different wrangling over NIL, apparently held them hostage allegedly held them hostage before the playoff game last year, and then there's been a parting of the ways basically. And the guy, his brother was a UCLA recruit that flipped on signing day.
He went to Arkansas.
But the guy bouncing back possibly to UCLA is something that is in the ether. Whether or not it's a really truly serious thing or not remains to be seen. Whether or not they would be able to scrounge up the money to give him what he wanted. From people that I've talked to, it sounds like he's going to land somewhere for less than what he was getting at Tennessee, as opposed to what he was trying to get from Tennessee. And you hear all sorts of opinions. Oh, he's going to go down into the lower divisions for a year and then come back. Oh no, he's going to go to whatever Power 5 or Power 4 pays him the most. All these different things. But Mike, just from a buzz standpoint, there's pros and cons to this for sure. In my opinion, the only pros to this are you had a college quarterback with experience that played pretty well, right? He's playing in a system at Tennessee that was the system kind of runs itself, and so you just need a guy to execute and not screw it up kind of thing.
Yeah.
So how that reflects on what his actual ability is as a quarterback kind of remains to be seen. But if you tell me that you're going to plug in a guy that did well at Tennessee with their system and what we expect UCLA to have with Sinceri, I'd say it's probably going to be a good match, right? So just from that standpoint, it seems like he's an upgrade over what they may or may not have at quarterback right now. Even though they got Aguilar from Appy State and they got Duncan back there, this would be an upgrade over that. It would seem.
Yeah.
It would seem. Now, that's certainly a positive. The other positive would be this would instantly give UCLA a giant buzz boost. Now, is that really important? How do we value that?
Yes.
I don't know. Was it really important and a value boost that they got Dante Moore when they got Dante Moore? Or would it have been better if they wouldn't have ever got Dante Moore and they would have had Ethan Garbers play that whole season, and they probably would have been a better team for it by the end? And maybe, that there's all sorts of different things you could say about how that plays out and whether or not, how that plays out for Chip Kelly as well.
Yeah.
I am very, very, I don't know what to think about this, because on one hand, every time UCLA goes star fucking, it bites them in the ass. I mean, it just
Oh,
seems
no,
like
you're not wrong. Mike Juarez.
Hey, Mike, where are you?
Dante Moore. There was another one up there. The defensive end, Jalen. That guy, the defensive end that went to Miami.
Yeah, I have the Barton Simmons drop of him saying that. Jalen Phillips.
Yes.
I'm just saying, like, these type of moves, and it's like, if you tell me they can get this quarterback for a reasonable price, that's not completely outsized towards what the rest of the team is, I say, okay, now I'm kind of sort of interested in it. But at the same other time, you tell me that, okay, well, you're bringing in this guy and probably what is the equivalent of the Ball family compound coming in.
Yeah.
I have no interest in that.
Yeah.
And like, it seems like that's a big part of the story as well.
Yeah.
Is
very much
him and his handlers / family / support
Dad.
system seem to be a little bit hard to manage.
You're not
Is
wrong.
that something we want to challenge our young coach with? Oh, I don't know. Maybe if it gives him some buzz, maybe. But this is more complicated than just like, oh, we want him or no, we don't want him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know where I land yet, because I really feel like every time UCLA goes after somebody in this sense that's got this sort of profile, it always bites in the goddamn ass.
Well, and then think of this too. Let's say it all goes well. Let's say he signs with UCLA. He's the number one. He's QB1. Gets UCLA not just to a bowl, but let's think big and say he wins 9 games. Helps UCLA wins 9 games.
That is a crazy thought.
And then
already, okay, good. I'm glad we did it.
And then, and then says, you know what? I'm going to return to UCLA. I want to return to UCLA for the 2026 season. He's definitely going to want more.
In that case, who the hell cares? What I'm worried about is halfway through the season, you're going on the road to freaking Michigan, and
you
he's
already
like,
answered. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I don't think I'm going to play because I need a bump.
Well, that's what I was. Yeah, exactly.
That's scary.
Exactly. Well, no, because at that point, hopefully, if UCLA plays their cards right, and especially they manage NIL and recruiting and all that, they get enough players to come in and say, hey, this is what we're possible of. Things didn't work out with Nico, even though he took us to places we haven't been in several years, but we need to move forward with our program. I think, that's kind of a win-win for UCLA, because you're not going to have this if he doesn't come. If he comes, there's going to be a little bit more success, and that's probably going to put you. I think it will. Having a quarterback of that much skill, that has feet and an arm like that, the attitude, that's going to be a thorn in the side. But UCLA has to let him know. Yeah, if this doesn't work after a year, later.
I think I am firmly of the opinion at this point of, if he comes at some sort of discount from what Tennessee was going to pay him, like, meaning it's not something that is completely dominating what UCLA is spending on other players that it's trying to retain or keep or whatever, like, it doesn't make this guy a giant, singular force of the program. Like, we're selling our soul to have this guy come in type of dynamic. I am not in favor of that.
There's a lot.
If they can bring him in and he's going to be part of the team, and there's other guys on the team that are of equal standing to him based on whatever. Like, I don't know how these players nowadays are going to measure themselves, but I'm sure that whatever paycheck they're drawing is part of it, right? Whatever NIL. So if they bring him in and it's a situation where it's not disruptive to the overall chemistry of the team, then I'm 10 times in favor of it, because bring in the talent. That's what's great. But this is my concern in a nutshell. And it is, we talked about this a couple months ago, and it's these college football teams now, while it is completely unregulated, and you can have a team like Indiana last year that brings in half of its team via the transfer portal, or you could have a team like UCLA this year, which seems to have brought in half its team via the transfer portal. The coaches that are going to win are going to be the coaches that can galvanize the players that are actually on their team for that particular season. And as college football fans, we need to get rid of this idea of I want to get attached to this guy or that guy or that guy. Don't tell me what's going to happen in 2026. I don't give a flying fuck right now because it's going to be completely different than what 2025 is because the roster is going to turn over until they fix the rules. So it's like, don't worry about down the line right now. Like, do what you need to do to get the players you have on your roster on board right now for this season because that's what's going to count.
Yeah.
And for somebody like Sean Foster, who squandered an opportunity last year to have a season that built his cachet, like, I think the only thing that Deshaun succeeded in doing last year was with that nice little stretch they had towards the middle end of the season is he managed to get the national media that was totally dismissing him because of his late hire and his performance of media day.
Yeah.
He got rid of the opinion that he was in over his head and incompetent, right? Yeah. I think that he proved that he's a competent coach last year for not only the UCLA faithful, but also the national media at large. But still, UCLA is a complete afterthought right now. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you can bring in guys to make this next year, take advantage of it, and at a minimum get to a bowl game, or gee whiz, Mike's talking 9 wins or whatever. You might as well be named Desmond over here. But if they could, if they could actually have what's qualified as a quote good season, by UCLA standards, something 8+ wins. Now all of a sudden, now you have some buzz to build to bring in the players for the next season because you're going to have a big loss. You're going to have a big turnover. That's the way things work now.
Jesus.
But that's what's important right now. And so if you bring in a guy that's going to be divisive to your team chemistry, I am absolutely like fucking pass.
No, that's what
I don't care. Let Joey Aguilar run around and fucking throw interceptions and try to make plays. 6 shooters on his hips or whatever. Yeah. I'm fine with that. Let's go with the Appy State guy. But if you think you can bring this guy in and it's not divisive, you think you can bring this guy in and it's not like coming in with a giant paycheck that is so much more than any other player on your team that's going to instantly make it divisive. And if you think you can, at least not be undercut by whatever his handler's family / situation is, then by all means.
Yeah. Dude, can you brought up the Ball family. Can you imagine the Ball family in the era of NIL?
Oh my God.
Freaking nightmare. How many schools would all of them have been?
You know how long it's been since I played that? I love this drop.
3 seasons?
Having the Ball family at UCLA was worth it just for that drop. But other than that, not worth much.
No. That one Lonzo year was all right, but
one by Alfred. And then you had a felony.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
You had an international incident.
Yeah.
And then you had a guy that didn't even make it here, who's in the NBA jacking up shots.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
As a whole, I would rather have the Ball family to have not ever walked onto UCLA's campus.
Yeah.
It was much more of a USC story, in my opinion. But hey, it's ours.
Very much so.
It's our cross to bear. Mike. So I think I've come around to
Bronny James is USC's Lonzo Ball.
He started for the Lakers.
Except he doesn't play.
He's a starting player for the Lakers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did Daddy help him with that? Did Daddy say I'm injured and hey, why don't you take my spot?
It's a non-story, Mike. Anyway.
Although I gotta say, I owe an apology to you, the Godfather, and Jamaal. The hell's his name? The Lakers coach,
JJ Redick.
Yeah, he's done a hell of a job. I mean, it does help that you get one of the best players in the league with Doncic, but quite impressive. I did not think that the Lakers would get up to, what are they, like 60? No, 52 wins right now?
50 wins.
50 wins? Pretty impressive. So yes, you all were right.
He looks to be a good hire.
Yes.
Thanks, Mike.
I mean, we'll see what happens.
Hey, that's a nice tease for West Coast bias.
When LeBron shatters
really well.
his
You're just all about the
ego
West Coast bias. You don't like
is out for
the greatest
17.
22nd season in the history of the NBA because it's amazing, an all NBA season pretty much. Anyways, all right. Mike,
he's no Kareem.
Put a button on this.
All right.
You're right. Anyways, Mike, I kind of gave you my conflicted take on getting this transfer quarterback, if it's even possible. I'm like, yeah, if it doesn't disrupt the chemistry, nah, if it's going to be a problem. What do you think?
Same thing. But I think at this point, if you're a handler, if you're a player who's coming in saying, this is what I'm worth, and programs are telling you, yeah, you're not, you kind of have to realize that, okay, let's get the most I can out of the best situation. And so for not thinking about UCLA's side, thinking about his side, he needs to come in and say, because here's the thing, he would absolutely start at UCLA. I think the other schools are UNC. Oh, I think UNC's out now, but USC, Oregon, and there was another East Coast school which might have had a chance, but
the only thing that would make me go on, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say, if you could see that Cincinnati's bringing a good offense, they have decent players, the offensive line is doing well, and you could come in and immediately make an impact for him. That is leverage for, like I said earlier, that is leverage for the season after, where you could say, oh, I did this, I would like this
something
much
to
more
build
money
on and bringing guys.
Yeah, but he also,
both
again,
the program and him.
Yeah, he still has to keep his don't choke on his aspirations, as well as just reading the room of where everything is.
So I have two thoughts then. I have two thoughts.
Uh-huh.
Number one great scenario is UCLA is able to get him for a discount of what he was at Tennessee, and he comes in and he fits in seamlessly to the team, runs Cincinnati's offense wonderfully, and they have a nice, big, successful bounce back from last year. That's my number one best case scenario. My number two best case scenario is the Bruins don't get him, but Oregon pays him $8 million. He goes up to the Ducks, sucks, but ends up in a quarterback battle all season long with Dante Moore, and they both suck. And the Ducks go, 8-4, and everybody's pissed. So
I like that.
Those are my 1A and my 1B. Okay, but nothing would make me more happy than, if the Bruins don't get him, he goes to Oregon, and then him and Dante Moore both underachieve. That'd be great. That's very petty, but that's where I'm at.
Random scenario, but I like it.
All right. So very good, Mike. So this is a great show. Mm-hmm. We're going to get to What's Bruin with you, and we're going to bring on a special guest for that.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
All right. So it's What's Brewing with you, and we are going to welcome on my co-host of West Coast Bias, Mr. Jamaal, artist.
Well, you're just all about the West Coast bias.
He just got off
the East Coast.
Just got off work, fresh out of surgery, still bloody, still sweating. He's got a mop in his brow. He wants to talk about Lakers with the people. But Jamaal, start the show with What's Brewing with you before we end the show and get to our show.
Guys, in 15 days, I'm turning 45.
Wow.
I think here's how long we've been, yeah, but listen, here's how long we've been friends. The first time we met, I was a spry 33-year-old with one kid and a head of hair. Now Jake can see me because we're doing this FaceTime. I'm now an old man, 45 years old, ain't got no hair, 2 kids, just took it all away. And so anyway, did a kind of early celebration with some friends of mine who've been here in Southern Arizona for a while. And we went mezcal tasting.
Oh, fun.
In downtown Tucson. Yep. And they were doing it with, it was paired with a chocolate. So a chocolatier and this mezcal maker who was actually from Altadena. Poor guy lost his house in the fire.
Oh, geez.
And he's trying to make things work with his small business, doing authentic Oaxacan mezcal and bringing it to the States. So we did a pairing, and it was quite fun. It's kind of nice, very adult. But I did mention to somebody it was a very frou-frou way of talking about chocolate. I mean, this whole thing about the way you taste chocolate is you let it melt up against the roof of your mouth, and you just kind of swirl it around with your tongue. And I'm just like, this is chocolate. Can't we just chew it, swallow it, and take a shot of mezcal? But I didn't say that because the hippies would have come after me. But it was still fun. Mezcal and chocolate on a Saturday afternoon, no kids, just me and the wife. It was pretty fun.
How much mezcal did you actually get to drink?
It was 5 shots, and then I bought a.
That's enough then, right? I mean, you were definitely buzzing. Oh, that's good. That sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, and then lunch afterwards, had a nice smash burger. It was nice. The wife's a little bit of a lightweight. She was like, on the 5th tasting, she was like, I'm starting to get buzzed. I'm like, really? It's not. but we had fun. It was nice.
Very good. Mikey,
so that's what's brewing with me.
Mikey, what's brewing with you?
A lot of stuff this week. I'm finally on spring break. My daughter Poppy is also on for her school, she's on a 2-day bus trip to Monterey, California, where they're going to go to the aquarium and really check out stuff. And she's really nerding out about it. I have a feeling she wants to be a marine biologist. Yeah, just kind of wrapping up just going from working every week on a set pattern to, okay, it's football. We can relax a bit until August. But yeah, today, because I had some time off and there was nobody there, I went and played nine holes of golf. So that was pretty cool.
Mikey.
I've been wanting to do that. And all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I don't have anything to do until like 5 PM where I have to meet Jake and chat with Jamaal about local sports. But yeah, that was pretty fun. But yeah, I always just love having this week off because I'm usually exhausted by the time I get to it. So I tend to try to rest as much as possible, but in this world, in this economy, that's not happening. But still, I did get to go play some golf, and yeah, Hugo's getting he's getting really determined to be a baseball player. So we're playing like catch like almost every day, and still trying to get him to stop being afraid of the ball.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, you're gonna get hit, but you're not going to get paralyzed. If you get knocked on the skull, which he hasn't, but I'm teaching him how to divert from that, stuff like that. But, that just, stuff that parents go through, especially with those kids that want to, get into, physical sports like that. He's also talking about football too. I'm like, let's start with flag football. Then we'll go from there. But, yeah, very, very active, weekend. And now it's just caused me to like sleep in till like, yeah, me sleeping in till 8 o'clock. I don't sleep until 8 o'clock, but that's what sleeping in as an adult is these days. So yeah, that's what's been brewing with me. Jake, what's brewing with you?
Very nice. I already talked about how I took 2 IV bags last week and had like 18 blood tests and came out the other side a healthy, strong man. So I'm thankful for that. But
I'm sorry, what?
We'll talk about it later, Jamaal. But yeah, 2 IV bags last week. Guys. ChatGPT, literally, I know I'm a little behind on this one. It's literally the most amazing thing in the effing world. Just in the last 2 weeks, ChatGPT helped me do my taxes. It helped me lease a really cool car. And I now am going to this for like every problem I have. The robots are here. I'm embracing them.
Whoa.
I'm a fan of the robots. I still am upset that they can write better poetry than me. But
they cannot.
For things that are practical, oh my God, this is so amazing.
I just downloaded ChatGPT. It's pretty freaking insane.
I'm just saying, I had some pretty complicated tax questions because I was sick of the place that did my taxes. And by the way, next year I might be going, guys, what's wrong with me is I'm getting audited, but let's hope not. Let's hope not. But I'm like,
yeah, you're not going to get audited. Like 75% of the IRS just got fired. You're fine.
That's what I'm fingers crossing on. I still have to pay $9,000, but I'm hoping that gee whiz. Anyways, I put in a bunch of like a very complex question and it like spit out, this is exactly how you need to do it. And then would you like some more help? I'm like, yeah. Oh, here's a spreadsheet. Would you like more help? Yeah. And here's another thing. I'm like, oh my God. And then when I went to go lease a car, I'm like, hey, I'm worried about this, this, and this. And my mom sold cars for 1,000,000 years. Like I got her advice. I got my friend who's staying here, his advice. He's a very seasoned veteran in purchases and things. But I went on ChatGPT and I put in all these variables and they're like, gave me a game plan on how to go in there. And I was very happy with the car deal that I just made. So I'm just like, ChatGPT is effing amazing. And if you have some sort of theoretical question to ask about how to do something or what the process is that involves some sort of like, you want to get like all of human knowledge concisely given to you.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn cool. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Jamaal?
As long as they don't build a robot that can start an IV, then I still have a job. Because if that happens, then I'm screwed.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, as long as they don't build RoboCop, I'm fine too. But I think we're okay right now because people still want a little bit of the human contact. And yeah, I had 5 different people jab me last week, and they all did a very good job, but barely felt a thing. So it is an art that I'm proud that you were a part of, and I know you're probably pretty good at it. So yeah, there you go, guys. This has been fun. Jamaal, we're about to restart the show with you to do West Coast bias, and I look forward to that.
The West Coast bias.
But hey, if you got any calls, I think I skipped some calls from this week. I'll go back and look next week. I'm sorry, I forgot. And then I still want to get that wonderful carry drop from.
We didn't even talk about freaking the tournament.
Yeah, we have to announce our winners for the tournament. Leo won, and
Leo
we
won
owe
on
Leo
the
something. Who won the other one?
Women's side, and then someone pulled ahead of me on the men's side. I was first place.
Mike, you're supposed to win, so that way I didn't have to give a prize away.
Exactly.
God damn you, Mike.
Oh, goddamn me, goddamn Houston.
Anyways,
Can I throw mine in real quick, guys?
Jamaal, please.
We had a company March Madness thing. There's 80 brackets. I came in sixth. I was in first place because Duke, I was in first place when Duke shit their bed.
Yeah.
And then you guys want to know how much money I lost out on? $1,170. I would have won if Duke had just won the national championship like they were supposed to. I hate that school. There's a reason Nixon went to law school there.
Yeah.
And Coach K sucks.
I'm right there with you. There's a North Carolina sticker on my fridge just because of that. So there you go. Go Tar Heels.
No Dukies here.
Anywho, wonderful. So call in next week. We'll sort out the prizes. I promise. I swear. And also, let's see whether or not the Bruins go Starflake or not. I'm really curious. Call in if you have an opinion on that. And until next time, Mike, what do we say?
Go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Oh my God.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's got to be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, brah, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.